Hello everyone, this is ICBS here and today I'm going to be talking about Kung Fu Panda 4 and I just finished watching it and I don't have a script right now, so I'm just going to rant. And first things first, I don't like this movie. And time for some honesty, I wasn't a big fan of the third movie either. I think they kind of ran out of ideas with that movie, and when they announced the fourth movie I knew it was going to be bad, and when I watched it, yeah, it was really bad. I wouldn't say that it was a really bad movie that you can't watch without bleeding from your eyes. I mean, there's definitely some entertainment value to it, but for a movie that's supposed to be in the Kung Fu Panda movies, considering I am a huge fan of the first two movies, especially the second movie, and when I reacted to the Kung Fu Panda 4's trailer, I mentioned it at that time too that I am a really big fan of the second Kung Fu Panda movie. I think that movie is a cinematic masterpiece. And it's definitely a sad state of affairs to see the whole franchise go really downhill from there. And I really don't think that they had any other reason to make the third and the fourth movie other than they just wanted to make some more money. So yeah, let's talk about this movie. And first things first, I would say that I'm not a really big fan of the animation. The animation in the second movie, oh god, that looked so good. And in this movie, some of the still shots almost look like they are AI generated, and I don't really know what to say. Like the budget for this movie is $85 million, and all of the rest of the movies in the franchise have well over $130 million budgets. So I don't know why they didn't really put a lot of money behind the fourth movie. I don't know. Even though this is an $85 million budget movie, I think the animation should still be good, but it's not. But it's just not the animation. I think the story also suffers. I wasn't a big fan of story in the third movie, but in this movie it's just insufferable. Like, this movie just wants to be a comedy. I know the first two movies had a lot of comedic moments to it, but they were very intelligent and put into the movie very carefully. But in this movie it feels like every comedic joke has to be forced into it, and sometimes it just feels like it's a parody movie. I mean, the first time I saw Po fighting with a stingray, I thought it was some kind of a dream sequence that Po was having, until I realized that no, it's actually happening and this is just some cringe moment with Po. I don't know, like I really thought it was some kind of vision that Po has whenever he's like imagining himself as the dragon warrior. I get it, he's the dragon warrior now, but I don't know why I thought it was so bad. The story of this movie goes as follows. Master Shifu tells Po that he needs to find a successor for dragon warrior, and Po can choose one, and then suddenly Po gets news that Tai Lung has come back, and then after that Po catches a thief called Zen. And oh my god, like Zen is also voiced by Aquafina, which she has a really distinct voice that I'm just able to recognize her voice in any movie whatsoever. Like, she's in a lot of things and she's just playing like every other character out there. Anyway, so Zen tells Po that it's not Tai Lung, it's actually a sorceress called the Chameleon. And I don't know, I just find the name really funny. I know she's a chameleon and Tai Lung was a tiger, but we don't call tiger, like he was Tai Lung, and so the chameleon is just named the Chameleon. I don't know, like it would have been better if she actually had a name. Anyway, so Po and Zen go together to this big city, and then Po acts like a country bumpkin over there. Even though that he actually went to a big city in the second movie, Po actually acts like a country bumpkin and pretends that he actually hasn't been into a big city, even though we actually saw him in a big city in the second Kung Fu Panda movie. And then the biggest mind-blowing thing is that no one knows who Po is, or as a dragon warrior. No one's even heard of a dragon warrior. It's really astounding to me because it doesn't take them long to reach that city, whatever that city is. It feels like the amount of time that it takes them to reach there, that it's not really that far from the Valley of Peace. So yeah, it would be really surprising that that city has never heard of a dragon warrior, and it really kind of annoyed me. Plus it feels really weird because Po in this movie feels really incompetent. Like in the third movie, Po was like really powerful, but in this movie he's really weak. Like he gets like he oftentimes comes close to losing Zen. I would say that he's never lost to Zen, but I think that's only because Po has to be a teacher to Zen at some point, so that's why he hasn't lost to her. But yeah, like Zen comes really close to beating Po and keeps her own when fighting with him, which is astounding because he's a dragon warrior and he's been fighting for so long and he's gained so much knowledge in fighting, and yet this random street bandit can keep her own against the dragon warrior. It's just very surprising to me. Anyways, with Zen's help, Po goes to defeat the chameleon, but Zen ends up betraying Po because she was always working for the chameleon, and then Zen feels bad for betraying Po and she goes back to helping Po, and then blah blah blah. Like, the thing that I want to talk about is chameleon's motivations, and the first two movies had really good villains, and in this movie the villain actually feels like a parody. Like, it feels like a some cartoon show villain that's only going to appear for like one episode and then we just watch it and forget about it. The villain has really cartoonish motivations. She explains that she always wanted to be a warrior, but she was rejected, so she ended up becoming a sorceress, and now she's going to take Poe's staff to open the spirit realm gate, and she's going to call all of these masters of kung fu and she's going to steal their kung fu. I don't know, I'm not making this up. Like, this shit is really cartoonish. I know it's a cartoon, but oh god, like, it is. I am dying of cringe. I'm sorry. Like, I can't take this villain seriously. This is a really bad movie. I don't know how else to say. And then whatever, she turns into a dragon towards the end and Po ends up defeating her. And towards the end of the movie, Po chooses Zen as his successor and she's the new dragon warrior. It's really annoying. Like, oh god, I'm so done with this franchise. Like, I love the first two movies. Like, I'm not just saying that. I think in my opinion the first two movies are like S tier movies. Like, they are really good. And then the last two movies are just straight up garbage. Like, they are throwaway garbage movies. Any other random generic 3D animated movie, that's what they feel like. I think that's what happens when you milk a franchise for too long. Like, you're just doing it for the money now. Like, it's not about telling a story, it's about a franchise and making as much money as you can. And it's sad to see Po getting milked like that. That's a very disturbing image in my head. But anyways, yeah, so I'm going to try very hard to pretend that the last two movies in the Kung Fu Panda franchise does not exist, because the first two movies, god, like, you can see the passion, man. Like, in the second movie, Po and Shen had the kind of dynamic that you only see in Batman versus the Joker, but I would say that the dynamic that Po and Shen had is even better than Batman and the Joker. Like, it's that good. And then when Shen is revived in the fourth movie, like, he doesn't even say a word. He's like a background prop of a character. Like, he doesn't even say anything. It's like shows up for a cameo, doesn't say anything. It stands there in the background like a background character and then goes back to the spirit realm. Like, that's all his existence does in this movie. And I'm saying that this movie is really bad only because I'm a big fan of the first two movies. If you watch this movie after hearing my review and you actually happen to like it, that's totally fine. But I'm just saying that as a Kung Fu Panda fanboy, this movie just doesn't holds up to the standards of the first two movies. If I have to rate this movie as a Kung Fu Panda fan, comparing this movie to the first two movies, this movie gets a 2 out of 10 in my opinion. Anyways, this is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.